Imagine a world where a single individual, a tech mogul who has already revolutionized industries as diverse as electric vehicles and space travel, suddenly sets his sights on the most entrenched institution in American life, the political system itself. Picture Elon Musk, the billionaire whose name is synonymous with disruption, innovation, and controversy, now attempting to reshape the very way America is governed. With his recent unveiling of the so-called America Party, Musk has sent a shockwave through every corner of the nation's elite, from the financial titans on Wall Street to the seasoned power brokers in Washington, D.C. The question on everyone's lips is simple yet profound. Are we witnessing the birth of a historic new era in American politics? Or is this just another headline-grabbing episode in the saga of billionaire ambition? For nearly 200 years, stretching back to the mid-19th century, American politics has been governed by an ironclad duopoly, the Republican and Democratic parties. This two-party system is so deeply woven into the fabric of government that even a whisper of a third-party breakout is often dismissed as either naive or laughable. Americans have seen a handful of attempts at disruption, but history is littered with failed ventures. The most notable modern example was Ross Perot's well-financed Reform Party, launched in the year 1995. Despite Perot's fortune and his maverick status, the party's initial surge quickly faded, serving as a cautionary tale of just how inhospitable the American political landscape is to outsiders, no matter how wealthy or charismatic. But Elon Musk is not just any outsider. He's a man whose career has been defined by doing what others claimed was impossible. He made electric cars not just practical, but desirable. He turned the dream of private space exploration into a reality, transporting astronauts to the International Space Station and landing reusable rockets on floating platforms in the ocean. So when Musk, in July of the year 2025, conducted a poll on his social media platform, X, formerly known as Twitter, and saw that nearly two-thirds of respondents supported the idea of a new political party, he took action. The official announcement of the America Party was not just a press release. It was a thunderclap that reverberated through political circles and financial markets alike. Tesla's stock, a bellwether for the tech sector, experienced dramatic swings as investors fretted over the impact of Musk's divided focus. The timing could hardly have been more dramatic. Just hours after Musk's announcement, former President Donald Trump, never one to shy away from a public feud, responded with characteristic bluntness. Speaking to reporters before boarding Air Force One in Morristown, New Jersey, Trump dismissed Musk's plan as ridiculous, arguing that the American system was designed for only two parties and that third-party efforts only create confusion. Third parties have never worked, Trump insisted, alluding to the long tradition of failed insurgent movements. His words were more than just a personal put-down. They were a warning echoing decades of political history, reminding everyone just how fiercely the established order protects itself. Yet Musk's initiative has ignited genuine anxiety within the ranks of the Republican Party. Prominent voices on the right, such as MAGA influencer Laura Loomer, have warned that the American Party could siphon off significant support from conservatives, fracturing the party's base and potentially handing victory to the Democrats in tightly contested races. Loomer's warning was stark. This could break the current coalition and create alliances no one expects. On the other side, U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent publicly downplayed the threat, suggesting Musk's appeal is limited to his fan base of tech enthusiasts and online followers. Musk's party would pose no threat, Bessent declared, hinting at the insularity of Musk's support. Political science experts, particularly those at Boston University, have been quick to point out that while third-party candidates rarely win major offices, their impact on elections can be profound. In closely contested states, even a small shift in votes, sometimes just a few thousand or a fraction of a percent, can tip the outcome of a presidential or congressional race. The so-called spoiler effect is one of the enduring nightmares of party strategists. Ralph Nader's Green Party run in the year 2000, for example, is still blamed by some Democrats for Al Gore's narrow loss in Florida. In this sense, Musk's party could wield outsized influence, not by winning outright, but by redrawing the electoral map in unpredictable ways. But the challenges facing Musk's America Party are immense. The machinery of American politics has been meticulously engineered to keep outsiders at bay. Every aspect, from the labyrinthine rules governing ballot access in each state, to the criteria for participating in televised debates, to the immense financial resources required to sustain a national campaign, serves as a barrier to entry. Ross Perot's Reform Party, despite spending hundreds of millions of dollars and capturing the national imagination for a brief moment, ultimately collapsed under the weight of infighting, legal hurdles, and the relentless pressure exerted by the two dominant parties. Consider the practical obstacles. In the United States, each state establishes its own rules for placing a candidate or a party on the ballot. In some states, the requirements are so onerous that even well-funded campaigns struggle to qualify. Gathering the necessary signatures, navigating the deadlines, and surviving court challenges mounted by rival parties can consume months of effort and millions of dollars. And that's just to secure a spot on the ballot. Winning hearts and minds is another matter entirely. The financial stakes are staggering. According to campaign finance experts, the cost of mounting a credible presidential campaign routinely exceeds $2 billion. Even for a billionaire like Musk, that is a monumental sum, especially when combined with the risk to his existing business interests. Indeed, Tesla's board of directors is already facing mounting pressure from shareholders and analysts, with some such as James Fishback, CEO of Azoria Partners, urging the board to evaluate whether Musk's political ambitions are compatible with his responsibilities as the company's CEO. Fishback's concerns are echoed on Wall Street, where analysts like Dan Ives of Wedbush Securities have downgraded Tesla's outlook, citing the potential for political distractions to undermine the company's focus on innovation and growth. The ripple effects extend well beyond Tesla. Silicon Valley, the broader tech sector, and even global markets are watching closely. In the first weeks of July 2025 alone, Tesla's stock experienced unprecedented volatility. Billions of dollars in market capitalization were gained and lost in the span of hours, as investors tried to assess the risks and opportunities created by Musk's political foray. This is not just about an election. It is about the future of American innovation, the fate of thousands of jobs, and the leadership of the most dynamic sector in the global economy. So what's really at stake? The story unfolding around Elon Musk's America Party is not just a tale of one man's ambition. It is a flashing red warning sign that the foundations of modern democracies are more fragile and more susceptible to disruption than many realize. In an era where social media can mobilize millions overnight, where a single tweet can move markets and shape public opinion, and where the lines between business, technology, and politics are increasingly blurred, the old certainties no longer apply. Let's take a step back and examine the broader context. The American two-party system is rooted in historical traditions dating back to the early days of the Republic. The Federalists and Anti-Federalists, the Whigs and Democrats. Over time, the names have changed, but the structure has remained remarkably consistent. The last truly successful third party was the Republican Party itself, which rose to prominence in the 1850s and ultimately supplanted the Whigs. Since then, every attempt to break the duopoly, from Theodore Roosevelt's Bull Moose Party in the early 20th century, to George Wallace's American Independent Party in the 1960s, to Ross Perot's Reform Party in the 1990s, has ended in failure, or at best, fleeting influence. Yet the political landscape is shifting. Polls consistently show that a majority of Americans are dissatisfied with the current state of the two major parties. Trust in government is near historic lows, with surveys by respected organizations such as Pew Research Center and Gallup indicating that, in recent years, fewer than 1 in 5 Americans express confidence in Congress. Voter turnout in national elections hovers around 60%, reflecting widespread disillusionment. These are fertile conditions for a disruptor. Musk's strategy appears to be a focused one. Rather than trying to win the presidency outright, early reports suggest that the American Party will concentrate on securing a handful of seats in the House of Representatives or the Senate. Even winning 1 or 2 seats would be a seismic event, as it would break the symbolic monopoly of the two major parties and potentially hold the balance of power in a closely divided chamber. This kingmaker scenario is not without precedent. Third-party or independent candidates have occasionally held outsized sway in state legislatures or in the U.S. Senate, forcing the major parties to negotiate and sometimes adopt new policy positions. But let's be realistic. The fortress of American politics is guarded by more than just laws and procedures. The media ecosystem, from the major networks to the cable news giants and the sprawling universe of online influencers, is oriented around the drama of Democrat versus Republican. Debate rules are often crafted by commissions dominated by party loyalists, making it nearly impossible for third-party candidates to gain a national audience. Even when a charismatic outsider manages to attract attention, the system is adept at marginalizing or co-opting their message. The spoiler effect looms large. In recent history, third-party candidates have changed the outcomes of critical elections. In the year 2000, as previously mentioned, Ralph Nader's Green Party candidacy is widely believed to have drawn enough votes from Al Gore in Florida to allow George W. Bush to win the presidency. In 2016, some analysts argue that third-party votes in key states may have influenced the razor-thin margins that propelled Donald Trump to victory. This is the scenario that keeps party strategists awake at night. A well-funded outsider, appealing to disaffected voters, siphons just enough support to alter the outcome without ever actually winning. For Donald Trump and his allies, Musk's America Party is a wild card. Trump's base is famously loyal, but it is also restive, with many voters drawn to anti-establishment rhetoric and disruptive personalities. Laura Loomer's warnings about a fractured coalition are not idle speculation. If Musk can peel off even a small percentage of voters in swing states, say Pennsylvania, Michigan, or Arizona, the electoral math could change dramatically. The same logic applies to down-ballot races, where narrow margins are common and the balance of power in Congress can hinge on a single seat. And what about the economic implications? Musk's foray into politics is not occurring in a vacuum. The world is watching as the boundaries between business and government become ever more porous. In an era when the largest technology companies rival or surpass nation-states in terms of resources and influence, the prospect of a tech billionaire running for office or launching a new party raises fundamental questions about the nature of democracy, accountability, and the public good. Tesla's investors are already feeling the impact. Wall Street is notoriously sensitive to uncertainty, and the Musk-Trump feud has injected a fresh dose of volatility into the market. Dan Ives, the widely respected analyst at Wedbush Securities, downgraded Tesla's outlook in early July 2025, citing the risks associated with Musk's political ambitions. The fear is not just that Musk will be distracted, it's that he could become a lightning rod for political backlash, regulatory scrutiny, or consumer boycotts. In the interconnected world of 21st-century business, reputational risk can translate into billions of dollars in lost value almost overnight. Beyond the markets, there are broader economic questions. If the America Party were to gain traction, it could accelerate debates over issues such as antitrust regulation, tech sector oversight, and the role of private capital in the public square. Already, lawmakers in Washington are considering proposals to tighten controls on social media platforms, restrict political spending by corporations, and limit the influence of wealthy individuals in politics. The spectacle of Musk launching a political party could serve as a catalyst for sweeping reforms, or, conversely, for a backlash that entrenches the status quo even further. So why does any of this matter to the average citizen? Because the lines between politics, economics, and technology have never been more blurred. The fate of your investments, your job, and even your rights as a voter are increasingly shaped by decisions made in corporate boardrooms as much as in legislative chambers. The rise of Musk's America Party, whether it succeeds or fails, is a sign that the old boundaries are breaking down. In a world where a single viral moment can ignite a movement, where billions of dollars can move at the speed of a tweet, and where the next political earthquake could come from Silicon Valley rather than Capitol Hill, staying informed is not just smart, it's essential for anyone who wants to understand and navigate the future. What should you do in the face of this uncertainty? First, keep a close eye on how the established power players, the Democrats, the Republicans, and their media allies, respond to Musk's moves. If the America Party starts to gain even a modest foothold, expect to see a rapid escalation of countermeasures. New laws to tighten ballot access, negative advertising campaigns, attempts to discredit Musk personally, and perhaps even efforts to co-opt his most popular ideas. For investors, this turbulence can spell both danger and opportunity. Sudden swings in tech stocks, or broader market volatility, could offer chances to buy undervalued assets, or, conversely, signal the need to adopt a more defensive strategy. There is also a civic lesson here. Brett Kaplan, one of the nation's leading election lawyers, has observed that only someone with Musk's extraordinary wealth could even attempt to launch a new national political party. Money is the gatekeeper in American politics, Kaplan notes, underscoring the structural barriers that keep ordinary citizens on the sidelines. For the average American, this should be a call to vigilance. Whether you support Musk, oppose him, or simply want a more accountable system, now is the time to pay attention, educate yourself, and demand transparency from those who wield power, no matter which party they represent. Looking ahead, what is the most likely outcome for Musk's America Party? The odds are daunting. Most third-party movements fade away, battered by legal challenges, financial exhaustion, and the relentless grind of the two-party machine. Yet even if Musk's campaign never wins a single seat, its impact could be significant. As history shows, when a new party puts bold ideas on the table, the major parties often respond by appropriating those ideas, sometimes adopting new policies, sometimes shifting their rhetoric, and occasionally even changing the rules of the game. Take, for example, the Progressive Party of the early 20th century. While it never won the presidency, its advocacy for women's suffrage, labor rights, and government reform paved the way for landmark legislation in the decades that followed. Or consider the impact of the Green Party, which, despite never winning major offices, has influenced debates on environmental policy and social justice. The point is clear. Even failed third-party efforts can serve as catalysts for change. As the story of the American Party unfolds, there are several plausible scenarios. In the most optimistic vision, Musk leverages his massive social media following, mobilizes disaffected voters from across the political spectrum, and manages to win a handful of seats in Congress. This would force the Democrats and Republicans to adapt, perhaps by adopting more innovative policies or by reaching out to previously neglected constituencies. Alternatively, the American Party could serve as a spoiler, reshaping the outcome of key races without ever holding power directly. Or, perhaps most likely, the party could fade into obscurity, remembered only as a footnote in the long annals of American political experimentation. But even in the event of failure, Musk's audacious gamble will have left a mark. It will have exposed the vulnerabilities of the two-party system, highlighted the growing disconnect between voters and their representatives, and underscored the power of technology and those who control it to reshape the public square. At a minimum, it will have forced a national conversation about the future of democracy, the limits of money in politics, and the role of innovation in public life. So what do you think? Is the rise of Elon Musk's America Party the start of a new chapter in American history, or just another twist in an already tumultuous era? Will the two-party system finally crack under the weight of popular discontent? Or will it adapt and endure as it has so many times before? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want to stay ahead of the curve as technology, economics, and politics collide, be sure to subscribe for more deep dives into the forces shaping our world. Remember, in both politics and markets, change is always closer than it seems, sometimes arriving in the form of a